Up next, viewers, we are in fact getting some more visuals of Russian fleet off the coast of Mykolaiv region on the Ukrainian coast. Now remember, this is a very strategically important location since Mykolaiv is a region that has a direct access to the Black Sea, and now we see the Russian warships off the coast of Mykolaiv as well. And now we have seen how Russia had aggressively trying to make their way towards Kyiv from three areas of north, east and the southern part from where Crimea they had annexed in 2014, and now moving towards Kherson, and the latest being the Mykolaiv region, which is off the coast in fact of the Black Sea, which has direct access to the Black Sea. And we see the Russian troops in fact in that area as well. Viewers, we have seen this kind of an aggression on the ground by the Russian troops, be it in Kyiv, be it in Kherson or Kharkiv. All these cities have been seeing aggressive shelling, aggressive bombing by the Russian troops. And now we see even in Kyiv, there is strategic bombing that is being carried out of TV towers, of railway stations and railway lines being disrupted so that none of the civilians can also move out. And the latest being that of Russian fleet off the coast of the Mykolaiv region. Shavan Sen also joins me from Ukraine live on this broadcast. Shavan, we see Russian troops making their way towards Kyiv, even in several other pockets, strategically important locations as well, where we see Russian fleet now off the coast of Mykolaiv region as well. What are you picking up on the ground? Are these pictures reflecting where you are standing right now?
Well, various parts of Ukraine have now come under missile strikes of the Russian troops. In fact, very difficult to map it at times. But let me just take our viewers quickly through all the updates that we've been able to gather in the last few hours. And what we're essentially trying to do, Priyanka, right now is only put out authentic information after verifying it from the various ministries. In fact, we have been in touch with the Ministry of Defense, Ministry of Intelligence and the Internal Affairs to try and collate all the details. In fact, the summary of the entire attacks that have taken place over the last 24 hours have now come in from the General Staff of Armed Forces of Ukraine, which only goes on to indicate that there is a strong fight that is still going on the ground. This is the 8th day of the war, and what we are essentially looking at is in various parts of the country, especially in places like Sumy and a few other places, which I'll also bring in my colleague Mridul, who's going to take us to the full details of the area-wise breakup where these the intense battle that is still going on. As far as the ground offensives are concerned, Priyanka, we are certainly seeing a massive pushback from the Ukrainian side. Russians, on the other hand, important to point out is that they are now bringing in their specialized troops, the BTGs that we were indicating just yesterday. Now I'm being told that the 14th Army Corps of the Northern Fleet of the Armed Forces of the Russian Federation, they have also been brought in. In the Donetsk direction, we are being told that the 1st and the 2nd Army Corps, which basically comes in with the support of artillery, and they've been continuing their offensive also. Let me bring in Mridul right now, because what Mridul is going to right now do is take us through the exact areas where the offensives have only increased. There's been intense gun battle, and thereafter what I'll also do, Priyanka, is take our viewers through the latest details in terms of the shelling that has taken place overnight. So those details also I'll bring in. Over to you, Mridul, as you can take us through the Russian offensive, in specific the areas that have been mentioned in the summary that has been sent across by the General Staff of the Armed Forces.
We are constantly on the roads, and there are many cities and villages are now suffering from Russian terror. Most of them, I'll mention that Kharkiv, Mariupol, Kherson, and you know, Sarsha is the place where we were there when the war is just started. There are so many places who have been justified by Ministry of Ukraine, and they said that Kharkiv is the most most affected city, Ukrainian citizen. One more thing I have to mention that the message from Mariupol, Orchestra, Volonovoka, Cherniv, Sumy, Sasha, Kherson. And one more thing I have to mention that the President of Ukraine, Zelensky, said in his words, after the victory we will honor their memory so that even through the centuries Ukrainian will honor the heroes. That's the main point. Zelensky mentioned that after the victory. That's the main point. And
essentially, Mridul, what we are also witnessing, let's now try and describe what we are witnessing beyond what has been provided, the information that has come in from the Ukrainian side. Important to highlight here is that in a situation like this, you would only be getting one-sided information as far as Ukraine is concerned. They would be putting across their views or their understanding of the ground situation. Important to point out the other side of the conflict, that is from the Russian side. What's really happening? Russians, on the other hand, remember, there's not much information really coming in from their side, but some videos that essentially show, especially from the Donetsk area, where the Russians are saying that the atrocities that have been committed by the Ukrainian army is the reason why they are basically upping the ante at this point in time. That's what the Russians essentially had to indicate. On the ground, what is it that we are witnessing? Now, even some of the areas which were untouched about a couple of days ago, let me talk about the western side of Ukraine. In about few days ago, we were told, we've just got a confirmation from the people that we have been in touch with, that even in areas like Lutsk and Ivankov, these are the two places which were largely untouched. Now remains to be seen that how things are just going to change, because these are the two places where we are being told that missile strikes have already taken place. If you take a look at the map of Ukraine, starting from Kiev, which surrounding areas, the Kiev Oblast area, which has come under massive attack, various missile strikes over the last 24 to 48 hours. The fear still looms large as far as the telecommunication lines are concerned. So far, I can tell you, Priyanka, there hasn't been much disruption as far as telecommunication lines are concerned. Our mobile phones have also been working. Internet services also appear to be absolutely fine. But the fear still looms large that perhaps the Russians, if at all this continues in the days to come, that would also be an area of target. Let's also take a look at up north in Sumy area. And if Mridul, if you can just bring in the 4 areas that have been mentioned by the Ukrainian army, is the fact that Cherniv, Nizhin, Sumy, Lebden and Okyata. These are the 4 areas where till about this morning we're being told that there was intense gun battle that has taken place. And some of the places where the locals have come into the picture, where locals are now trying to prevent the advancement of the Russian troops. That is also been mentioned by the Ukrainian army at this stage, that what is certainly helping them is not only that the Ukrainian army or the police is basically fighting it out, but also the civilians in various other. Cherniv, if you remember, Priyanka, there was an image that was doing the round. In fact, we've also received that video. We've verified it. In fact, you would see a lot of civilians carrying the Ukrainian flag of blue and yellow, and just walking towards the tanks. And that strong image of the fact that right now it's the civilians who are right on the ground, helping their army, helping their police to ensure that the advancement of the Russian troops basically, reduces. We've also got some information with regards to how, in terms of, on the tactical terms, if you're really looking at it, the Russian troops' advancement has also been slowed down, because some of the bridges in Kiev, in and around Kiev rather, they have been damaged by the Ukrainian army, so that the troop advancement, the ground troop advancement, can also be slowed down. That's in and around Kiev. What about Kharkiv? Kharkiv, remember, while there is a lot of reports that are being doing the rounds that perhaps the Ukrainians are losing control over Kharkiv and the Russians are taking over. But it remains to be seen because we've not got an official word right now from the Ukrainian authorities as to what's really happening on the ground. So we'll perhaps hold the horses right now as far as Kharkiv is concerned. Shelling, of course, that has taken place. Videos that have come into our newsrooms have also indicated that the shelling still continues in Kharkiv. With regards to the safe passage of the Indians. Remember, the Indian government earlier in the day has basically stepped aside from the controversy that was brewing. On the one hand, you've had the Ukrainians essentially saying that Indian students were taken hostages by the Russians. Russia, on the other side, said it is Ukrainians who were taking the students as hostage. But the fact of the matter here is that India's distanced themselves. India is rather right now more concerned to ensure that the students leave the country as soon as possible. And the assurance that has now been made by the Indian government is that all the students who have been at the border areas, they are going to be safely evacuated from India. There is a passage timing that has also been given, the timing so that they basically reach the border areas, leaving Kharkiv, because Kharkiv remains to be the area which has been the worst hit if you're taking a look at it. Zhytomyr is the other place which was untouched, has now come under attack. However, there in that very city, we've been told that not many foreign nationals were there. Mostly foreign nationals have been concentrated in the capital city of Kiev and the other, of course, being Kharkiv. We've also been in touch, Priyanka, with some of the Indian students who are crossing over. In fact, Mridul, through the last night, has been trying to assist all Indian students who are getting in touch with us so that, authentic information can be provided. They can also be, they are very worried, agitated, they're anxious. So we are trying our level best to ensure that with proper information that they remain calm and they reach safer areas. So I would bring in Mridul on that front. Mridul, you've been in touch with at least a couple of Indian students who are right now, who have reached Poland, but they seem to be facing some more difficulties.
Last night I have spoke to them and they are facing so many difficulties there. The queue is very long and I think there are 70 or 100 students were there. But hope for the best, I'll said to them. And after that, in the morning, they called me and said that we are able to cross the border, and where the Indian embassies and the official person were with them. Yes, so it is the situation, it is the right situation at the border, or Poland border, Hungary, Romania. There are 3 borders who have been, the students go there, and the long queue must be short while, because
well, that difficulty still certainly continues, because we have seen in the initial few days the lines have been as long as 40 miles. Of course, that situation is it's developing, so one will have to be a little bit more patient, given the situation right now is only changing by the minute. So perhaps we'll also be in touch with the Indian students. Those who want to get in touch with us, they can do so that we can also provide them with the right information.